Greetings on behalf of the CARICOM Secretariat and UNICEF. This short video provides a brief overview of the CARICOM monitoring system. The system has been developed to monitor commitments on the various agendas that are important to the Caribbean community. Thus, we can say that the monitoring of these promises is the key focus of the system. The first such framework of promises is the Regional Framework of Action for Children. In the area of early childhood development, ECD, a promise was reached that member states will formally adopt an ECD policy. As the guidance above explains, this could be a single comprehensive policy document or discrete sectoral policy documents providing comprehensive coverage. Another such promise or performance benchmark is that member states have national regulatory frameworks with standards for ECD services in place. Here is the third. And there are several more promises in the area of ECD, and this is the final one, that member states have functional intersectoral ECD coordination mechanisms at senior level. The Children's Framework also has commitments made in other areas: protection, health, education, and climate change. This totals up to 50 performance benchmarks in all. There are and will be other frameworks and action plans too. So like we have ECD and the set of promises that are made in ECD within the Regional Framework of Action for Children, there are also other frameworks, for example, on youth, energy security, crime and security, ICT, trade, etc. Sometimes parts of a framework, there may be some common areas across that may overlap, as you see in this illustration here. For example, some of the commitments made under the Children's Framework could also apply to youth. Or, for example, in the area of sports, for example, sports in schools could be reflected in the Children's Framework and also in the Sports Framework. You may also have an overlap, for example, in the area of environment and climate change, where environment education in classrooms could be reflected in the Children's Framework and also in the Environment and Climate Change Framework. So there may be overlaps, and the system itself needs to cater to these kind of overlaps. But the bigger question is that is often asked is, what is the progress on these frameworks and action plans? And are we achieving the results that we have promised to ourselves as a Caribbean community? As in, to what extent these promises are being kept? The CARICOM Secretariat and UNICEF have been working together to develop a platform to monitor these commitments made. The initial discussion was to have a platform to monitor the Children's Framework. Later, this evolved into a framework that could provide the facility to monitor any regional framework. The CARICOM Monitoring System is now hosted at monitoring.caricom.org and provides an online portal that is simple and easy to learn. The system is device independent and is available for use on smartphones and tablets. Each framework has its own set of dashboards and reports, and we will see an example of these towards the end of this video. The platform provides the space for each country to report and rate its own progress. Each member state may have one or several focal points authorized to report on a framework. Based on consultations within the country, the focal points are expected to report against the commitments outlined in a framework. Besides a short narrative explaining the progress to date against each commitment, a focal point is expected to summarize the overall progress into a set of classifications. For example, no progress, in progress, or fully achieved. This self-assessment is then available in the public domain. The CARICOM monitoring system is administered by the CARICOM Secretariat through a specific manager for each framework. That user is called the framework manager. And then we also have a systems administrator that manages the overall application. An underlying principle in the development of this system is the principle of mutual accountability. Countries are able to monitor their own progress against progress achieved in other countries, or as an average overall across the CARICOM. All reporting against commitments is public and accessible to all. The monitoring system also provides the space to share key policy documents and status reports. For example, sharing an ECD policy or sharing an ECD standard. For example, if Barbados would say that they have developed an ECD policy, there is a space in the system to actually upload that ECD policy so that this is available to everybody. With several countries sharing, this facility is expected to enhance regional sharing, learning, and standardization. Another important feature is the ability to link benchmarks across frameworks. Therefore, if a country has reported on sports in schools in the children's framework, it will automatically show under the sports framework or the youth framework. Let's take this opportunity to have a quick preview of the monitoring system to see it in action. So you can open up the browser and type monitoring.caricom.org. And this will take us to the portal. And basically what you have is the different frameworks are organized under various focus areas or sections in each page. For example, here we have children, youth, adolescents, testing area. And these are expected to change in the future, and as more and more frameworks come on, these sections will be reorganized as such on the page. Currently, the only framework that is hosted is the children's framework, and this is placed under the focus area children. So we click the framework, and this page provides a background to this children's framework and the key documents pertaining to this framework. You can click to open or download this particular framework. So if you click here, you would be able to download the framework. On the right side, you have the partners that have been supporting the development and implementation of this framework. And you also have the links to the various pages that are hosted as part of this framework. So the one we are going to spend more time on in this video is the framework dashboard. But from the framework dashboard, you can also go to the document library and the status history. The country update link that you see here is for country focal points to update status against the framework. The link on the situation of Caribbean children connects users to a DevInfo database, which has more outcome level indicators that pertain to children. So in this demo, we will basically explore the framework dashboard. So there are three dashboards in all. The country dashboard, which provides the country's progress, which provides an overview of the country's progress. A thematic dashboard, which provides progress on a particular thematic area, for example, ECD. And then you have an overall dashboard, and we will go through that one, which provides overall progress in CARICOM. So when we get to the country dashboard, we can choose the countries. For example, we are going to choose here Cayman Islands, which has entered some data, and Belize that has also entered some data, and we can see the progress. So the default is you can compare Cayman Islands against CARICOM average, but you can also choose any other country. So we see here that ECD, the target score is 48, and then the score on ECD as such for Cayman Islands is 34, 27 for Belize, and you can see a comparison. In some areas, for example, climate change, no data has been entered. Belize, data is yet to be entered. So this is just more of a demo. And you can see the overall progress of Cayman Islands is 60%. And as time progresses, this will show progress over the last 6 months. This data has recently been entered, so it's reflected as such. And then we go down to a lower level of analysis, which is, for example, this radar chart that actually breaks down all the promises, the 12 promises that we have in the area of ECD, into what pertains to programs, what pertains to policies, what pertains to legislations, capacity, and monitoring. So we can see that in the case of ECD, and you can disable some of the parts of the graph, and you can just see that ECD, as far as ECD is concerned, monitoring related benchmarks have been achieved. There's significant progress in the area of legislation, progress in the area of programs, but not so much on the area of capacity. If we look at protection, this is the chart we get in the area of health, in the area of climate change. education. So we can see that if so much has been a progress in the case of education, how does this compare with another with Belize? So maybe we could look at the area of ECD and look at the progress of ECD in Belize. And you could see these charts, radar charts, as a radar chart, or you could see it as a bar chart, and you can see the progress across. So there's a bit of a choice in terms of what's available. Then there's progress over time by thematic area. This is expected to become more useful as data becomes is more frequently reported by country focal points, and this speaks over time how much of progress has been achieved on those promises that were made as part of the regional framework. So it compares the progress in Cayman Islands with the progress in Belize. So while all data has been very recently entered, so you will see progress only as we get to June 2014. But on the right side, while this plays, I can show you the overall progress against the different benchmarks. So you can say education, 9 have been reported to be fully achieved, 9 benchmarks, 3 in progress, 1 some progress, and 0 in terms of no progress. And the 12 that we had in the area of this graph now fully shows, but the 12 that we had in the area of ECD, 7 have been reported to be fully achieved, 2 in progress, 2 some progress, and 1 no progress. So there is, when the country focal points are entering this data, there is an explanation of what it means to say some progress and what means, and this is provided by the framework manager, an explanation of what is meant by in progress and what is meant by some progress. And then you can click on the details of that. So this is an overall classification, but you can really see in the area of ECD what has been said. So if in the area of policy, for the first benchmark on ECD policy, this is where Cayman Islands stands, which is the basis of the rating, regulatory framework. So suppose you want to see who has entered this particular information, and you have the name of the person here, Renee Barnes, and you can click on that, and you can get who this person is or who the focal point is that has provided this information. If you need more clarification or need additional information, you can contact the person. The contact details are available. So this really puts things in really the public domain in terms of where countries are against the framework, against the different agreements that have been made. If you click on view history, you will see the past reports on that particular benchmark. So in this case, there's only one report, but if you had a report that was made prior to May, 29th May, when this was there, you would see the whole history of the reports that have been made against that particular commitment. That's also, if you click on status history, you would also get to the same screen, the status history button that we had seen earlier in the framework landing page. So this is really the summary, and if really the details in terms of what has been said against each of the promise, and you can export this into PDF or Excel or document. So if you click PDF, this would be transformed into a document that you could print. And you can see the overall progress as a document for all of the areas of this particular framework. So this is the full report of the current status for Cayman Islands for this particular framework. You can also print all the charts that you have. You can separately download the charts that are there. For example, this particular chart that is there, you can click here and you can save it as a document, this particular chart, or you can print the overall dashboard by simply clicking this button, print. And you should be able to print. And you also see all the partners in this particular dashboard. You can also share this on Facebook, on other Twitter, on other social media tools using this gadget here. So we'll move on to the next dashboard, which is the thematic dashboard, and this shows really the progress on ECD overall. So you have all the different thematic areas of this particular framework ECD, child protection, health, and so on that I was mentioning earlier in the presentation. So you could look at the progress on ECD overall. So how many are fully achieved overall in the Caribbean, in progress, how much is some progress, no progress, and so on. Overall, ECD stands at 42% in terms of the partial reporting that we've had to date. And this provides a progress by country. Again, this is a moving chart. What has been the progress over time? And I'm going to advance it a bit further as we get to 2014 so you can see the overall progress. And you see that Jamaica has progressed much more than, for example, Cayman Islands or Belize. So this is just some sample reporting that's there. This is still to be finalized, and as more data comes in. And you could also break it down by the different areas or the different thrusts in ECDs. For example, if you want to see progress in data research and monitoring systems, you see Cayman Islands and Jamaica have addressed this much better than some of the other places in Caribbean. Overall progress on policy frameworks and plans. So that could be analyzed by the different types of benchmarks or types of promises that are there. But you can also see it by the different benchmarks. So if you want to break it down in terms of where there has been progress, which promises we have made more progress on, which promises we made less progress on, we can see that regulatory frameworks and standards is something there's been more progress in countries than compared to the inclusion of early stimulation for children who do not have access to ECD services, which has been much lower than the issue of having frameworks and standards in place. And now the same data is now displayed by different benchmarks. So if you want to see what's happening overall for the first promise area, you could see that as far as ECD policy is concerned, these are the different reporting across the countries, who's reported it, and so on. And again, you could print, export this information. You could print the overall dashboard like we did, and you could share it in social media like we did in the case of the country dashboard. We can look at the overall dashboard, which is the CARICOM dashboard, which really provides the overall progress on the framework itself. And as we can see, data not reported is currently the which we expect to decline as we get to the end of July, early August. We expect to see this going down to hopefully zero, and we have all countries reporting against the different promises that are there in the regional framework of action. But this dashboard really provides an overall overview of really where we are in terms of meeting the promises that have been meeting the commitments that have been highlighted. So again, progress by country, you could see overall progress not just on ECD but in all the other areas, and we can see where each country stands. This is, of course, Cayman Islands has done more comprehensive reporting than some of the other countries, so we will hopefully see very soon all of the other countries also in terms of where they stand against the overall framework. But again, this is broken down by the different types. For example, data research and monitoring systems, we can see across all of the countries, across all of the thematic areas, where we are overall by country. So where there has been more progress on children in the area of data, or in the area of policies, or in the area of legislations, as on. So these are all defined by the framework manager, and we can analyze it from that aspect also. And this chart is still coming up because we've just started to report data. So as time goes by, we will see more detail, more progress in terms of an increase increase in terms of reporting at the moment. But then later on, we can monitor really progress in terms of meeting the performance benchmarks and so on. And then this is a summary table in terms of what is the percentage progress that's been reported. For example, Guyana has reported 52% progress in the area of ECD, but is yet, well, actually it's yet to report progress, but in the area of education it's reported 60% progress and so on. But others are actually data not entered at this point of time, as we know. Cayman Islands has said 71% progress in ECD, but if you click on this documents uploaded, which you see here, 3, and one in the area of child protection and one in the area of education, if you click on them, you can see what documents have been uploaded. So we can see that Cayman Islands has uploaded a guidance document on best handbook, And if you click on that document, it gives you a little brief of that document, and you can download that particular document and have it available wherever you are. And you have this place to share this information. And we expect, as more and more countries really load all the documentation as this is as this tool is populated, we will have this information available to everybody, and this could be used for meta-analysis or just sharing best practices across countries. Again, as I mentioned in the other frameworks, you could download this table, or you could print it. You could print the overall dashboards, share it via social media, and so on. So this is basically what really this system is all about. We have one framework hosted, and we hope to have data soon on it, and we hope to have more frameworks soon uploaded. And this is really what the CARICOM monitoring system is all about. Each framework is expected to be hosted on this tool. Each framework will have its own set of dashboards and its own set of tools to actually monitor progress, and its own set of documents that are uploaded to report back on the framework. And the children's framework, as we know, is the first to go online. The youth framework is expected to soon follow suit. And I think that is largely the progress that we've made to date. We're expecting to see more progress soon. And soon this tool will be available to everybody. So we thank you for listening, and do hope that you will find this a useful tool for monitoring the commitments that we have across the Caribbean community and in learning from each other. And thank you once again for listening to this video.